And this morning on today's Pets, our makeovers have gone to the dogs. Literally, there are a lot of dogs in shelters that are worthy of adoption. Some just need a little help, a little TLC, a little visit to the spa, and that's exactly what we're doing here this morning on Today. Warren Eckstein joins us here. He's our Today pet contributor. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Hoda.
It's important, isn't it, what a dog looks like when you're going into a shelter in search of a puppy?
You know, it's funny. We were at the Associated Humane Association yesterday, societies in New Jersey, and we groomed 2 of the dogs that we're going to be showing later. And this young couple came in looking for a dog. There were 30 other dogs in the room, and the ones they stopped to see were the 2 that were groomed up. So sometimes what you see is not really what's behind it.
Now, what about this poochie up here?
This poor puppy is about 9 weeks old, and he was going to be bred for fighting. And some morons took a scissor without anesthesia and cut his ears off. So I only have him here for one reason. He's not a makeover dog, but guys, he needs a home.
All right, now the way this segment is going to work is we're doing it just like we do the big people segments, okay? We're going to have the before picture, the makeover, and then after the makeover is over, we're going to have the dogs walk on the catwalk. Yuck,
The
yuck.
catwalk?
Yeah, well, that's what we call it. So let's start with our very first makeover.
I'm ready.
First, we have a beautiful Afghan dog.
This guy over here. Now, when you see this, tell me a little bit about him.
He came in as a stray. We've had him over a month. He's an unneutered male.
Come on. Yeah, he really can use a makeover. I mean, you can just look at this.
He looks more Afghan than anything else, but we have no history on him. No one has called to claim him, and we have no microchipping information.
Okay, that was the before. Let's take a look at the Afghan breed after.
Now, it's an entirely different looking dog.
Wow.
I don't even think he has any Afghan in him. Once we clipped him down, he kind of looks like a little generic dog.
How much work did that take, Warren?
It was a lot of work, and thanks to the groomer that was there, Best of Breed in New Jersey, who groomed all these dogs. But you can see the entire, not only does he look better, when I walked in that cage with him, Hoda, he was so depressed, so angst. We clipped him up, we gave him a bath, made him smell good, a few hugs, a few kisses, and his whole personality changed. And I can't believe this dog, look at his tail, we left a little pom-pom. I can't believe he doesn't have a home.
Now, he was jumping up and down in the cage in the shelter. What did that tell you about this dog?
He was nervous, and you really can't judge a dog. When you see a dog that's incarcerated in a shelter, you really can't judge their personality till you get him out of that shelter and in a private area. He was a whole different dog once we got him outside of the cage.
Now, how much of a better chance do you think this dog has of being adopted than the one we saw at the start?
Probably the one we saw there would probably have been euthanized before he found a home. That's how many dogs are killed every year. This one with the grooming would have found a home right away.
Thank you so much. That's
Thank you, guys.
Beautiful makeover. Okay, we are going to go to our second makeover. This one is of a young puppy named Max.
So this is where the smaller dogs are kept?
Smaller dogs,
older dogs,
older dogs and handicapped animals. He's only 9 months old. His name is Max.
He's only a puppy.
It was given up by a woman who had a hard time keeping the dog.
We're going to make you over, make you look beautiful, and find you a home. What do you think? Yeah.
Hey, you have legs under all that. I know.
Do you think if the dogs looked better, it would be easier to find them homes?
If they're looking bathed, groomed, little bow in your hair or a little bandana, it always looks more pleasing to the public. However, whether they have a bandana on, they still need the same amount of love and a home.
All right, let's see the new Max. Wow.
That is the new Max. And you know, it's interesting because Max only has one eye. He was turned in by someone who didn't want him anymore, and they had to remove one of his eyes because it was so badly infected. But this is a pedigree Shih Tzu, and never would have found a home the way he looked, but thanks to the groomer, who, by the way, is holding him right now, this dog would easily find a home. I mean, we took him out 2 minutes ago, and everyone in the crowd wants him, so I'm sure he's going to find a home.
Now, there's the before picture and the after picture. It's an incredible transformation,
what a difference,
isn't
right?
it?
What a great dog.
All right, thank you so much. Beautiful. All right, let's go to our next pup. Our next pup is a terrier that was left outside the shelter. Let's take a peek.
Which is a pedigree dog, wind up at a shelter as well, especially in such bad condition.
Cairn Terriers was left outside, tied to the post, so we don't have any knowledge as to his background, health history, etc. He's a very active dog. He was kind of depressed when he came in. He's doing well now, and I'm sure once he's groomed and gets happy, he can go right into the right home.
All right, the new Toto shaking it on the catwalk.
Toto, look at Toto.
Wow.
Toto's adorable.
This is a whole new dog.
It is,
Warren?
and this dog's personality changed more than anyone else. This dog was really shy, withdrawn in his cage. Took him out of the cage, groomed him up, Hoda. He's like Cujo, but he's got a great personality.
Look at the poor picture.
That's what he looked like. Look what he looks like. So you got to go beyond what you see. After you own a dog for 30 seconds, Hoda, you forget what they look like. It's what's inside that's important.
Well, how do you know if a dog kind of looks dirty or is unhealthy? How can you tell?
Well, you want to have him checked by the veterinarian of your choice or the vet at the animal shelter. But the most important thing to remember is look beyond the cage, look in the heart, and you'll find the perfect dog for you.
All right, let's bring all the dogs out here for one last look-see of these dogs. So you really have to look closely, right, Warren?
Yeah, you can't judge a dog when it's in a cage. You got to judge him when you get him outside. All of these guys need homes, and it's all on our website, I believe.
All right, Warren, thank you so much. You do a great job every time. Again, if you want more information on how you can adopt a dog, you can go to our website weekendtoday.msnbc.com. And this is Today on NBC.
Touche. Anyway, go ahead, Al.
That's our producer. And you may be getting along just fine with your mate, but there may be an unforeseen problem with your pets when you decide to cohabitate. Pet expert Warren Eckstein will be here with some advice. Help is on the way. Pet expert Warren Eckstein has some advice for couples whose pets are causing concern. Connie Strayer and Stephen Manis are here with Connie's dog, Cooper, and Linda Ross and Mark Bernstein are here with Mark's dog, Charlie. Good morning to everybody. Good morning. How you doing? Well, Warren, now, can this be a big problem?
It's a major problem. So many more people nowadays are single, you know, the career-minded. They get a dog or a cat, it becomes their best friend, and then all of a sudden they get in a relationship, and there's a little jealousy sometimes in that relationship.
Okay, Connie, tell us about your situation with Cooper.
Well, I adopted Cooper about 5 years ago, and he's like attached to me. He goes everywhere with me, and if someone tries to walk away with him, really goes psycho.
So what kind of problems have there been? He's got some idiosyncrasies, doesn't he?
A few. Well, he eats socks.
He ate my socks.
He ate your socks. Is that the biggest problem you've had?
That's the biggest thing that irritated me. I like my socks.
But they're socks. I mean, what the heck?
They're my socks.
They're your socks. So is that
the wrong therapist?
I was going to say, we've got issues here. So can you teach him some new tricks, Warren?
Well, what we need to understand is that, first of all, the dog was adopted, and my feeling was that it's very possible that he was abandoned by a man. So when they're walking on the street alone, the two of them, he's fine. But if Connie's out there, the dog isn't fine. He's always looking back for Connie. So I have a feeling that he's okay when Connie's not around. When Connie is around, he associates her with positive and associates Steve with negative.
Oh,
so I think that's part of it.
Who's the master of the house here?
Well, how do we change that?
Well, there were a couple of things. If you read the letter a little bit further, you were upset because the dog takes up a lot of space. He's big. Well, I can't cut off his legs. Deal with it. That's real important to understand, that when you get a dog and you're in a relationship, that dog becomes part of the family. It's not just the family dog to Connie, and you have to kind of give a little bit more. But what I mean by that is, and you're really a nice guy, we were talking outside, is I want you to take charge. Get Connie out of the picture. Do some advanced work, advanced
Just
training
as far as
the
the pet is concerned.
Well, either way, I'm not... As far as the dog's concerned, I think the important thing is that this dog and Connie were really bonded together out very strongly, and a new person moves into the house. It'd be no different than if another guy moved into your house. How would you feel?
Okay.
No, but
I would like that.
And people, and you've had dogs, but not for years.
Not for years, no.
And as a matter of fact, the letter says he's a cat person, so that was a problem right off the bat.
Do you think Cooper maybe senses that?
No, I just think he's very attached to Connie.
And I think what we should have done at first is Connie, more pre-planning should have been done. Anytime there's going to be any change in a dog or cat's life, pre-planning is really, really critical.
Do you think you can make some changes here?
You know what? We're going to bring these dogs back on when the dog doesn't even like Connie anymore. We're going to make we really are going to make a difference. It'll take me about 3 or 4 months. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to stay in touch and resolve this problem.
And you're willing to do the work too, right, Steve?
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move over now to Mark and Linda. Now, Mark, tell us a little bit about Charlie. Charlie was yours, right?
Yes, I've had Charlie 4 years, and Linda and I have been dating about a year.
And what problems, let me ask Linda, where do you see the problem with Charlie?
I think Charlie is less comfortable when she's at my house, because at Mark's house, she's pretty much doesn't have a lot of restrictions. She can get on the furniture, and at my house, she's not supposed to get on the furniture. So I think she sees that as less than comfortable.
So what's the problem?
But look at it. At Steve's house, the dog is absolutely perfect. Loves to go on the bed and hang out. All of a sudden, goes to Linda's house, and Linda is like, you know, mommy dearest to the dog. You know, get off the couch, don't do this. So what I'm going to recommend, that you do, and she's really a lovely lady, we spoke outside, is I want you to get out of your house for some time, and I want you to start spending time with the dog at his home where he is allowed on the furniture. When you decide to move in together, then we can make some changes if you want him on certain furniture and not. But right now, he's not comfortable at your house. Psychologically, Alan, this is important. Dogs and cats learn through the associative memory. So he associates Linda with not being able to jump on the furniture like he does at home, not being able to do things at home. So there is a certain amount of animosity, and these two, ultimately, there was marriage in their letter. So this is a problem I have to resolve.
And you're not going to give Charlie up, obviously.
My whole family's going to be talking about that marriage coming.
We're not engaged, Mom, don't worry.
Well, I'm sorry, Al, what did you say?
So I mean, obviously you're not going to give Charlie up.
No.
You're not going to give Linda up.
Right.
So how are you going to make this work?
Well, I mean, we're committed to making it work. That's why I emailed Warren, but, yeah, we're going to, take his advice.
It's a major problem now, and in Linda's case, both times we have to get the initial person out a little bit. In other words, they got to get out of the picture. They're so bonded. This is a single person living with a pet. They watch TV, they eat together. I mean, these are best buddies.
Right.
And what happens is someone else comes and takes some of that attention away. And I didn't even get into the intimacy factor. From a dog's perspective, intimacy, not that you guys would be intimate, you're not married, but intimacy is an important factor because the dog really doesn't know what's going on there and sometimes forms a feeling about a certain person as if another person may be hurting someone else.
Right.
So all of these things have to be taken into consideration.
You know, and not
in the economy. All right, thank you. And up next, a bigger, better. Is it bigger, better when it comes to a family pet? But first, this is Today on NBC.
James Herriot wrote about all creatures, big, great, and small, but when it comes to dogs, is bigger better, or is this the right size to go? Or when picking a pooch, does it really depend on your lifestyle? Here to talk about it, pet expert Warren Eckstein. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning,
today.
Lester. How are you?
I'm terrific. Let's talk about big and small dogs. First of all, the big ones. And this, by the way, is a Yorkie, right?
That's a Yorkie, and this is a Xolo Eats Quently, a Mexican hairless dog. He's a little chilly right now.
And so is this little Yorkie, whose name, by the way, is Gucci. We see people here in the city with big, big dogs, and I'm always wondering, do you need a big apartment for a big dog? Is that the rule of thumb?
Well, you know, the rule of thumb is if you're an exercise person, it doesn't make any difference whether you live in the suburbs or the city. I've had people that live in the city with big dogs that are joggers, and the dogs really get as much exercise as a 60 by 100 plot in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. So as long as you exercise, it's okay to have a big dog.
And here in the city, we see a lot of little dogs like this, people carrying them in bags or walking into stores. Are there rules of thumb for picking a small dog?
There are. First of all, you have to take your lifestyle into consideration. If you're a jogger, one run and this dog's gone, okay? So you have to, because, you know, 4 steps to every one of ours. There are advantages, though. First of all, in the city, you don't have to exercise them, obviously, as much. Number 2 is that in the city, you don't have to walk them. These dogs can be taught to use a litter box just like a cat. So if it's cold like today and you don't want to go for a walk after the news, the dog will just use the litter box.
Well, why don't we bring out a couple of our dog models and talk about it. This is, first of all, the dog that I thought was the horse when I was in makeup a little while ago. This is Nancy and Nicholas Guttenberg. They bring in the Great Dane called Pinkerton.
Yeah, this is Pinkerton, and then we have the little Papillon. By the way, the
Papillon?
Papillon. A lot of people think it's a Chihuahua, but it's not. It's actually a dog from Spain, and if you go to any of the museums in Europe, the dog you see there is this type of dog. They were bred down, but interestingly enough, this dog's hardest job is just keeping satin cushions pushed down. That's what he likes to do right now. The Great Dane, not from Denmark, by the way. They're from Germany, a working dog, used to hunt, but a real gentle giant.
I don't see a saddle, but I can think a child riding that. Is that a good dog in a family with small children?
You know, I prefer the larger dogs over the smaller dogs, and the reason for that is for kids, the advantage they can take the abuse of a child. But let's take a look at our next two coming out.
Okay, who do we got here?
Rider. This is the world's tallest dog and the world's smallest dog.
These are, in fact, the biggest dogs.
The Irish Wolfhound can actually be over 7 foot on their hind legs when they're full grown. The Chihuahua is the smallest dog that there is.
I want to come over and say hi.
Interesting. If these two dogs lived together, it would be the little dog, Lester, that would be bossing the big dogs around.
So a better what? Come here, Phil.
Well, they have a little bit of a Napoleon complex. If they could, they'd be wearing black T-shirts and have tattoos. They can be tough little dogs, the Chihuahuas, but also great dogs as well.
A little high-strung, though?
It depends on what you do. If you exercise them and you train them properly, just like a big dog, you get what you put in.
I have a big dog, and I know sometimes they can be intimidating on the streets to people who don't realize how gentle big dogs can be.
And I really think that big dogs are like big people. They're aware of their size, and they compensate with their personalities.
Okay.
We got some more dogs to show. Let's have our next group out. Now, you're not going to believe it, but we have a Pomeranian and a Newfoundland. Now, the Newfoundland has webbed feet, has a big chest, and it uses its tail like a rudder because it's a water dog and save people in the water. This Pomeranian is in the Spitz family, was originally bred to pull sleds, probably little sleds.
Doesn't even look real.
Doesn't pull, actually from an area of Germany called Pomerania. Adorable dogs. But let me tell you something about them.
Cutie?
They can be like little tyrants, these dogs. The Pomeranians really, if you have all these big dogs together and the little dog's going to tell the big dogs what to do.
And then we have a slobbering issue I see with these dogs as well.
It's part of owning a dog, you know. There's a little slobber once in a while. They wear bibs to correct that. Great dogs with children, by the way. The Newfoundland, credited with saving thousands of lives. Pomeranian, great apartment dog.
I have a friend who has one of those. They're just a gentle, wonderful
Super
dog.
dogs. All right, let's take a look at our next group. One of them's wearing a jacket and one of them is absolutely naked. I'm sorry about that, Lester. We have the St. Bernard, which, by the way, is the most popular of the big breeds in the United States. And we have this breed, which is the father of this dog right here. It's called a Xolo Eats Quently. Now, feel this dog for a second, Lester. Does it feel warm?
It does, and it almost feels like suede.
Because a hairless dog keeps their body temperature up higher to compensate for the fact that they have no hair.
Look at this face.
Yeah, it does have adorable. They were used as a hot water bottle in Mexico years ago. If you had arthritis or something, you'd hold them against your body. Now, the St. Bernard has a big chest. They were used in the snow. They have a sixth sense to predict avalanches and are also credited with saving thousands of lives. Big dogs, little dogs, what you put in, what you're going to get out. It's more expensive to own a big dog, eat more food, more anesthesia, more expensive on the shot.
Got to ask you, what about the whole rum keg thing? Myth?
I've never seen, it's the owners, I think. It's the owners that carry the rum. I've never seen a dog with the brandy around his neck. But no matter what type of dog you have, if you take the time to socialize it and expose it, big or little, you're going to have a great dog.
Warren Eckstein, always a pleasure to have you on the program. You can find out about big and small dogs at our website at today.msnbc.com. Thanks for bringing in all the dogs. We appreciate it. Let's head over to Al now.
This morning on Today's Pets, Warren makes a house call. Recently, we asked you to email us with your pet peeves and behavioral problems you've been having with your dog. We got thousands of replies and picked one that many of you seem to share. Then we sent our pet expert, Warren Eckstein, off to a New York suburb on a training house call. Debbie and Ken Barning live in Wantagh, New York, with their two whippets, Chase and Chloe. The Barnings have a problem that's been going on for over 3 years now.
Puppies! We have a problem with them jumping on people that come in the house.
They come across as being aggressive if you don't know them, but, you know, we assure them that they're just being friendly and they just want to say hello.
I hope Warren's going to break them of the jumping and make them a little calmer as people walk in the house.
Hi, how are you? Warren Eckstein.
Hi, how are you?
Hey guys, this must be the problem right here, huh?
This is them.
Hey guys, jumping, you know, even though they're not tremendous dogs, can be dangerous, so you have to stop it. What you need to understand is, why is the dog jumping? Let's try to resolve it from that aspect, and then later on I'll show you some corrections as well. I would have some close friends, relatives come over and specifically spend time at the level I'm at with the dog. You're letting the dogs know that people will get to their level so that the jumping will dissipate a little bit. Now, there are some corrections. Every time the dog jumps up, he has to be told no. No, just say no. And make that word sound entirely different than anything else in the world. That's one way we're going to approach it. The other way we're going to approach it is actually teaching the dogs how to behave properly when people enter or exit. We're going to put a leash and collar on them, practice a little stay command. Stay, stay, stay. So there's really nothing to it. It's no yelling, no screaming. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time to work with them. Be consistent, practice every day. You should have it under control in no time at all, I promise. We'll see you soon.
Warren Eckstein is here with Ken, Debbie, and Matt Barning, and those very friendly whippets, Chase and Chloe. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
So, Debbie, did this work? Is he as good as we say he is?
Yes, he is.
Well, tell me why. I mean, how did, obviously they're great dogs, but they're like most dogs. I mean, they're jumping up, they're anxious to see people.
Right, and they're very excitable when people come to the door. And during the week, a couple of Matthew's friends came over, and it was amazing. They didn't jump at all. And I said to Warren, what, did you hypnotize them? And I would pull on their collar, like he said, and say no, and they were fine.
Warren, tell me about the different ideas that you have, because it's not merely the collar and saying no. You've got a whole sort of list of suggestions.
Yeah, well, there's a few things. First of all, dogs generally jump to make eye contact. So if you spend more time on their level, they're less apt to jump up on you. So we had them spending time on their hands and knees, including their relatives when they came over.
How come we didn't get the shots of them on their hands and knees?
We should have. The other thing that's important to remember is we use a little distraction therapy. If a dog, just like a child, is getting too much attention for jumping, why should it stop? So we distract them. We use items like some new toys that they only get when people come over, so that's where their focus is.
So Ken, did you find that one technique was more effective than the others?
I think just giving them a little tug of the leash gives them the idea.
But how hard is it? Because, I mean, obviously you're at home, the doorbell rings. Well, I mean, you don't want to go run and put a collar on and put the leash on and have to talk. I mean, is that more difficult or not?
Well, yeah, that was a problem, because when we bring out the leashes, they think they're going for a walk.
Right, exactly. So they get even more excited.
They get very excited, yes.
But we set up decoys, David. We actually had them with the dogs with the leashes and collars on, and had neighbors and friends come over so that we could work on the problem, anticipating that the dogs were going to jump.
So now when the leash comes out, do they, and clearly this is going to take some time, but do they get less excited and know maybe it's just the neighbors knocking on the door?
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? I mean, presumably they're jumping all over your friends. Has it been a little bit better?
Yeah, they don't really jump on them as much anymore.
Okay. Now, Warren, tell me about, obviously we've got some different props here. Tell me about these. These are the toys that you distract the dog with. When the neighbors come over, you toss them a bone, figuratively?
Well, what you do, David, is you find one toy that they only get when people come to the house. They have their regular toys, but this one toy is given to them when people come and taken away when people leave. So when people come to the door, their focus is no longer on the people, but on the toy. This is something we didn't use with these dogs because they're too sensitive. Just an empty soda can with 20 pennies in it. If you shake it, it makes a loud noise. The idea is to shake it behind your back, using the word no, variable reinforcement. Ultimately, the dogs will learn the word no, and you won't need the can anymore.
Well, Debbie, Ken, Matt, and Warren, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dave.
Good to see you.